Tonight, we take you to Petare, the sprawling Caracas barrio, the largest slum in Latin America, where Venezuela's National Guard and the Bolivarian militia are running weapons workshops for civilians. Authorities describe these sessions as essential preparation in case of war. With tensions between Venezuela and the United States rising sharply, the government is now bringing the tools of defense directly into the hands of ordinary people. At dawn, rows of rifles and pistols are laid out on tables, their polished barrels glinting in the sunlight. National Guard officers check the mechanisms, count ammunition, and brief the first groups of participants. Citizens, young and old, men and women, file into makeshift training areas. They come not in uniform, but in everyday clothes, carrying the determination of people answering what they see as a patriotic duty. Organizers call the training a civil defense course, but what unfolds looks unmistakably military. Manuals titled "Tactical Method of Revolutionary Resistance" are handed out, and an elderly woman is seen studying the pamphlet as carefully as if it were sacred text. The Bolivarian militia, a force long central to Chavista doctrine, leads the exercises. Instructors, some in civilian clothes and others in partial uniform, guide participants through the handling of rifles, explaining rules of safety, storage, and use. The message from Caracas is clear. In a moment of confrontation, every Venezuelan may be called upon to stand ready. This is not just about soldiers, it is about the community. The government frames these workshops as a defensive necessity. Officials point to US naval movements in the Caribbean and accuse Washington of planning destabilization. Washington, for its part, condemns the Maduro government, accusing it of corruption, repression, and anti-democratic practices. Into this tense atmosphere, the image of civilians learning to handle weapons sends both a domestic and an international signal. Venezuela will not be caught unprepared. Community voices captured during these workshops underline the seriousness of this campaign. Maritza Reyes, a local community worker, spoke frankly to cameras. "Look, I haven't had the chance, but I think that at this point, we have to start taking up arms to defend our country." Her statement is short, but it captures the urgency the government wants to instill. It is the language of resistance, not abstract patriotism, but a call to physically prepare for conflict. Another participant, 38-year-old public servant Luzby Monterola, described why she came. She explained, "Yes, today I had a work assignment, but I think the president's call is more important than anything else. I came to learn what I need to learn to defend what truly matters to me. My homeland, my land, my nation, Venezuela." For Monterola, the decision was deeply personal, leaving aside her job to pick up training that, she believes, could one day be the difference between surrender and survival. These words, paired with images of weapons being checked, flags waving, and militia leaders setting the rules, give the workshops a dual function. They are training, but they are also propaganda. To Venezuelan citizens, the workshops are meant to demonstrate solidarity, loyalty, and the readiness of the people to fight. To foreign audiences, they are meant to deter. Still, the implications are complicated. Petare is a neighborhood long marked by poverty, insecurity, and violence. Arming its civilians, even under the banner of national defense, carries risks. Proponents say it empowers the people and prepares them for emergencies. Critics warn it blurs the line between soldier and civilian, risking escalation and undermining protections guaranteed under international humanitarian law. Legal experts highlight this very concern. In war, distinguishing between combatants and civilians is vital. If governments deliberately train and arm civilians, that distinction erodes. Should conflict break out, those civilians may be treated as combatants, making them more vulnerable to attack. The laws of war depend on clarity. Initiatives like this risk muddying it. International observers are also watching closely. Neighbors worry that a heavily armed civilian population could spill instability across borders. Diplomatic officials in the region caution that such workshops, while defensive in theory, could escalate tensions, making dialogue harder and confrontation more likely. But in Venezuela itself, the optics are different. The camera captures the People's Guard, a unit within the National Guard, demonstrating their readiness. Flags are raised, slogans are shouted, and crowds wave in support. Members of the comunas, government-backed community organizations that promote socialist principles, embrace the workshops as an extension of their role, organizing local life, providing services, and now preparing for defense. The workshops become communal rituals, symbols of loyalty to both nation and government. The social dynamics are clear. Some attend because they believe in the cause. Others come because they feel they must. In Petare, the state's call to arms can be difficult to ignore. For people living amid poverty, insecurity, and uncertain futures, the promise of unity and protection carries weight. For others, the militarization of daily life is deeply troubling. At the practical level, the training is highly controlled. Instructors emphasize weapon safety, proper handling, and the rules of storage. Attendees practice with unloaded rifles, learning how to clean, assemble, and disassemble them. Organisers stress that the weapons remain under National Guard custody when the sessions end, yet questions persist about transparency, oversight, and accountability. Critics worry about the possibility of weapons slipping into local conflicts or being used for purposes other than national defence. For President Maduro's government, however, the optics are powerful. These workshops show people of all ages responding to what officials call a national duty. By blending civilian participation with military preparedness, Caracas presents an image of a society united in defiance of external threats. The government hopes this message travels far beyond Petare's narrow streets. For residents, though, the significance is immediate and personal. Luzby Monterola's words resonate: homeland, land, nation. They frame the workshop not as abstract politics, but as a defense of family, of place, of identity. Similarly, Maritza Reyes' declaration to take up arms for her country speaks to a shift in the national mood. From waiting for events to unfold to actively preparing for them, the risks remain high. International law experts, human rights groups, and regional governments all caution that the path Venezuela is on could normalize the arming of civilians. That normalization, they argue, risks leading the country not to greater security, but to greater instability. Yet for the participants in Petare, the calculation feels simple: better to be prepared than defenseless. In the closing scenes, flags ripple above the crowd as chants echo. What began as a training workshop becomes a display of unity, loyalty, and defiance. For the Venezuelan state, it is proof that the message of defense has taken root. For critics, it is evidence of a troubling slide toward deeper militarization of society. For those attending, it is both an act of patriotism and a bet on survival. What we see in Petare is not just the handling of weapons, but the shaping of national identity under pressure. At its heart lies a fragile equation: the desire for protection, the demand for loyalty, and the looming shadow of confrontation with a far stronger power. The rifle in these images is more than metal and wood. It is a symbol of fear, a symbol of power, and a symbol of a nation wrestling with its own place in a hostile world. This is the story of Venezuela's workshops in weapons use, part training, part propaganda, part survival strategy. It is also the story of ordinary people who, faced with uncertainty, clutch manuals, raise flags, and say, in their own words, that they are ready to defend their homeland.
Sí. Hola, mala conducta. Buenos días, compañero. Buenos días. Le vamos a agradecer. Sí. Sí.
Have you ever had a weapon? Look, I haven't had the chance, but I think that at this point, we have to start taking up arms to defend our country. And did you have work today? Yes, I had a work assignment today, but I think the president's call is more important than anything else. I'm coming to learn what I need to learn to defend what truly matters to me: my homeland, my land, my nation, Venezuela.